Welcome everyone to the second session. Good afternoon for some and good morning for the rest. So now we're going to be focusing on engaging communities and communications more broadly as well, which is an integral part of saving these wonderful creatures and making space for them in our lives. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to the talks, which are coming from Greece, from Albania, from Jordan, and all over the map as well. So welcome to the second session. And don't forget to put your questions as they come up into the live Q&A area. Thank you so much.
Welcome everybody. I'm Evgenia Panoriou, an Environmental Education Officer of the Hellenic Ornithological Society. I will shortly present the Environmental Education Program in Greece for the conservation of the endangered Egyptian vulture. To begin with, I would like to share with you our vision on environmental education, which aims to engage students in long-term actions for the conservation of a threatened species. If someone asks, why do we need education to solve a problem? For us, the answer is because the reasons for the Egyptian vulture population decline are strongly related to human activities. Its main threats in Greece are high mortality as a result of illegal poisoning, habitat destruction, and abandonment of traditional livestock breeding methods, with all threats being directly and indirectly related to human activities. The goal of the environmental education program was students to become caretakers of the Egyptian vulture through their engagement in experiential school projects that could be broadly promoted to the local communities, thus acting as catalysts for the sensitization of the project target stakeholder groups that affect Egyptian vulture survival. All actions took place at the project sites of Trikala, Ioannina, and Evros prefectures in the framework of the project LIFE, Egyptian Vulture New Life. The main targets of the environmental education program were the creation of a network of schools and the implementation of promotion actions on behalf of the schools for the protection of the species. The program was based on an ongoing two-way interaction between the project environmental education team and the educational community. In the beginning of each school year, along the support of the local directorates of education, schools willing to participate in the program were gathered and joined the school network for the protection of the Egyptian vulture. Multiple visits to each school unit were implemented by the project team as to create direct and ongoing communication with the school children, while students and teachers were encouraged to design and implement their own research projects, adapting a bottom-up approach to enable stronger commitment. Although usually NGOs environmental education activities occur in a non-formal education framework, this program was based on a combination of all types of education in order to achieve the objectives of an organized, systematic, and purposeful environmental education action, also within the framework of the school curriculum. As far as formal education is concerned, we designed educational material to be implemented by schools. We scheduled a number of visits to the schools of the community. We planned field trips and we organized workshops for educators. As far as non-formal education is concerned, we collaborated with non-formal education bodies such as summer camps. In the framework of informal education, we participated in or organized a number of open, usually small-scale events. All schools participating in the network received the project environmental education and awareness material as to provide them the tools needed to actively get involved in the protection of the Egyptian vulture. The community-based environmental education material mission to save the Egyptian vulture together in the past, present, and future consists of a teacher guide, students' activities, and a floor game. The basic themes covered by the educational material are getting to know the vulture of Greece, their relationship with man in past and nowadays, the Egyptian vulture as a symbol of the conservation of work for the vulture populations, and participation in cooperative actions in schools and the local communities. The material also included proactive activities addressing the main threat of illegal use of poison baits, thus aiming to turn students into important allies in the fight against this illegal practice. The action also included supportive material to be disseminated to the students to participate in the project, such as pins and t-shirts, as well as a special edition Mission Impossible booklet. The Mission Impossible booklet consists of two sections: comic stories about the basic threats Egyptian vulture faces, and proposals for action taking and specific assignment resolution in a playful manner that the Egyptian vulture agents have to complete. These assignments involve their schoolmates, family, relatives, local professionals, and public services. Furthermore, a number of workshops targeting the educational community was organized as to promote the program and to increase the number of teachers that apply the project. We held two workshops before the COVID-19 pandemic, and then we focused on organizing webinars with educators of the local communities. Finally, in the end of each school year, a number of structured field trips to the Egyptian vulture habitats was organized as to add value to students' classroom experiences and to have positive impact on students' long-term memory. In the end of the project, more than 4,200 students from 60 schools participated in the Egyptian Vulture School Network. 15 environmental education events were organized with the participation of 1,358 children. We managed to organize 4 field trips in the Egyptian vulture habitats. It should be noted that the participation of the educational community in the Egyptian Vulture Network would be even larger if it wasn't for the COVID-19 pandemic. As to keep active the program, mainly during the first year of the pandemic, part of the material was adjusted to a distance-based education framework. Most importantly, school teams designed a variety of awareness actions, posters, protest banners against illegal poisoning, artworks, theatre performance and events, children's book publication, theatre performance and events, as we said, the symbolic adoption of Egyptian vulture nests by schools, awareness actions by pupils at local markets, gymkhanas, poems and lyrics, and an award-winning puppet show. The ultimate aim was the message to be transferred to school children, parents, and grandparents, as they may have a direct impact on the conservation status of the species. During the program lifetime, all sub-actions were published in the local media as to maximize the promotion of school children projects, revealing them as representatives of a generation that wishes and demands to have present the Egyptian vulture in their areas. School children were strongly engaged in their projects and shared the vision for a positive future for the Egyptian vulture. I would like to thank you all, while we will keep trying to spread the message that through education and along the young generation, we can bring the change for the Egyptian vulture future. Thank you.
I'm Kalliopi Stara from the University of Ioannina, and I will present you our paper entitled Following the White Vulture, Ethno-ornithology along the flyway of the Egyptian vulture. In this paper, we aimed to explore public attitudes, perceptions, beliefs, values and feelings for the Egyptian vulture across the 3 continents of its flyway. The paper has been published in the Journal of Human Ecology this year. The paper was based on an ethnographic study that was part of the Egyptian Vulture New Life project. Our team consisted of 25 authors from 17 organizations, and our research area covers 30 regions in 11 countries and 3 continents. Our methodology included interviews, a photo ranking exercise, and market surveys in Africa. Our sample consisted of 427 participants belonging to different age groups, religious or belief systems, and occupations. We were starting our interviews intending free lists of common birds with our participants. What we have found is that vultures are not the first to come in mind. This isn't surprising, as many rare, threatened and endangered species tend to be forgotten about in a cultural sense. Aiming to explore perceptions for the Egyptian vulture, we involved 4 more species representing groups of similar species of coexisting birds, thus other vultures, eagles, the white stork and the raven. We found that vultures are ranked higher than rest species, and participants primarily appreciate their harmless nature and the clinic ecosystem services that vultures provide. However, there is another image in the mass media around the Mediterranean in recent times, and in this, vulture's necrophagous nature provides a strong source of metaphors associated with death, catastrophes, and negative characteristics. However, this negative public image is in contrast to the results of our ranking exercise, in which people rated vultures higher than other bird species and conceptualized them not only as environmental cleaners but also in Africa as rain heralds and elsewhere as part of a remembered pastoral life or as rare or endangered species with fascinating life stories. It seems that the Egyptian vulture has a charisma at the root of a positive attitude towards the species. Its white color and smaller size are regarded as signs of beauty. Its migratory nature positions it as the herald of a new beginning at the end of a difficult season, in the same way that other beloved and well-known migratory species are seen as a good omen, while its currently unfavorable conservation status as a species globally threatened with extinction is perceived as an opportunity for ecotourism. And our conclusions and conservation implications. First, different vulture species inspire different feelings among the public. Second, the Egyptian vulture has the potential to create a positive wave of perceptual change and to include other vulture species in the creation of a new identity culturally apart from the damaging stereotypes that typically accompany scavengers. And third, that intangible cultural heritage can play a crucial role in conservation, creating appealing new narratives and inspiring universal stories for globally endangered species. You can download the full text of our paper using the link. This photo of Dimitris Vavilis showing Greek children celebrating the arrival of the Egyptian vulture in Meteora, Greece, has been selected as the cover photo of the next issue of Human Ecology that will include our article. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Junior Saad. I am the project manager for the EV New Life project within SPNL, or Society for the Protection of Nature in Lebanon. We'll be talking about the SNOW program, which is School with No Walls, which has been implemented under this funding and other funds as well, which is an educational program fit for the future generation, teaching them about extracurricular activities and themes regarding ecology, environment, and nature awareness. We'll be watching a small video which highlights all the aspects of this program, and then we'll be delving more in this presentation. So basically, the SNOW program's job or objective is to raise awareness on the environmental issues we have in Lebanon, specifically to maintain and protect the protected areas, so to speak, in Lebanon. Keeping in mind that under SPNL, we have over 26 HEMAs up until now, which roughly around 6% of the Lebanese territory. Thus, promoting their protection and the global protection of Lebanon is something that we strive for within the future generations to come. So the SNOW program basically focuses on students between 8 and 12 by spreading awareness and raising responsible generations through extracurricular activities and hands-on experience, given the fact that we don't have them within the Lebanese rigid, tough, big curriculum. Main themes are roughly between the preservation of protected areas, behavior in nature, nature bathing, birds importance, birds migration, globally threatened species in Lebanon specifically, water, ecosystem, responsible hunting, climate change, pollinators, which roam around as the butterfly effect. If one of these themes is not well maintained by the generations or the future generations, the cycle will be affected as a butterfly effect. Thus, this is our main focus, to highlight the impact of having all of them linked to one another. Adding to that, we try as much as possible to present all of this information in English, Arabic, and French languages under multidisciplinary approaches and through interactive level of question and answer, communication with the students, and personalized or tailor it, keeping in mind that we have as well teachers who will be who work with us, and it is learning as you go, so to speak. Adding to that, we have been done several consultations with outdoor activities experts and educational experts to finalize this curriculum on various tools developed within espionage, as the match the big risky fly, the continents again. These documents or these publications to the students who attend the SNOW sessions and SNOW program as well. And finally, I would like to thank you in this presentation. Hope this was beneficial for everyone. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Kristi Bashmil, part of LS Albania. Today I will talk about the community engagement and public awareness to protect the Egyptian vulture in our country. We work for the protection of Egyptian vulture because it is the only nesting vulture in Albania, with very few nesting pairs in south of the country. We work in all of territory of Albania to protect this bird, but we are more focused on the territory occupied by the Egyptian vulture. For us, it's very important to identify the right actors to work with. We work closely with the national and local institutions, with schools close to the Egyptian vulture territories, with the locals community, mainly the shapers and the farmers in the territory of Egyptian vulture. In our work, despite the difficulties, we have achieved some success. We have developed plus 10 events, EVAD or Work Migration Bird Day, with the goal to increasing awareness to protect the Egyptian vulture in our country. Two-day vulturing, together with the Vice Minister of the Environmental in Albania, the Director of RAPA Geocast, schools professor, and the ornithologist specialist, to monitor the Egyptian vulture territory in Drino Valley. The Prime Minister of our country distributes this news on these communication channels. The Egyptian vulture is very famous birds in Albania. Also, I want to highlight the exhibition in Tirana, in city center of Tirana, and the presentation of the promotional video on lead wall in Tirana, where we reach about the 600,000 views. Working with young people is a great success. We have created two conservation youth clubs, one in Girocastra and one in Tepelena, both with 80 active members. Now they are a good example of the youth environmental movement in the region of Girocastra and all in Albania. Currently, they are quite active in the Girocastra region. Local donors have supported their new initiative to stop the illegal poisoning of fauna. We are very proud of them. The network of the Egyptian vulture caretakers is well organized. This network consists of 20 active members with whom we communicate regularly, sharing information about the Egyptian vulture or the threats they face. Okay, also I would like to share some achievements in framework or sharing information are reaching people. The activity of showing the video on the lead wall in Tirana reached about 118,000 views. The activities with the photo exhibition in the center of Tirana reached about the 300,000 views. Also in social media and the website we have achieved about the 24,000 reaction, 1,000 shares, 1,000 comments, and more about the 200,000 views. Thank you very much for your attention. Goodbye from Albania.
Hello everyone. So to quickly introduce myself, I'm Cloé Pouchier, Program Officer for the Sahara Conservation, an organization dedicated to the conservation of Sahelocyan wildlife. Today I want to present the approach we've used in Niger for the past 2 years to combat the illegal killing of vultures in the country. Most of the work I will present has been conducted in the framework of the Egyptian Vulture New Life project. So to set a bit of the context of vultures' work in Niger, so we have 6 out of the 11 African vulture species present in the country, including migratory and resident Egyptian vultures. As in most Africa, vultures' population have been declining for the past decades. One of the main threats that could be identified was the illegal killing and use of vultures in traditional practices. We've conducted studies that could highlight vulture parts being sold on markets, but also we've collected testimonies of people mentioning this as the main threats. One of the main issues we've been facing in Niger is the lack of information at all levels. So lack of information on the vulture population itself, but also lack of information from the different stakeholders. If lots of people knew there were or there are vultures in the country, very few of them will recognize the species or know the reasons behind their decline. So as I've said, evidences of illegal killing and trafficking of vultures have been found. A deeper study was conducted in the region of Zinda and Baraji, which are 2 regions in the south of the country neighboring Nigeria, which enabled our team to understand the roots, ins and outs of these practices and therefore to develop an appropriate and effective conservation strategy. Hunters, traditional practitioners, and consumers form a network. So hunters are obviously at the top of the chain, as there's a main one involved in poaching of vultures, and they will then send those individuals to traditional practitioners who will then operate in markets with dedicated stands for wildlife products and plant products and sell them to consumers. The main question is now how to break this chain. It's a very complex issue as it's culturally encoded within the community. Lots of people in rural areas, but even in cities, will rely on traditional medicines rather than modern medicines. Vulture pot will be used to cure mental illness or respiratory disease, but also for power or to make money. So the response we've developed to tackle this issue was based on two major key points. First, a multi-actor issue is to be treated. Therefore, we involved a very wide range of actors. All the actors obviously involved in the supply chain, but also beyond that, like local leaders or authorities, to try to reach as many people as possible. And we try to act on long and short term to try to make it as sustainable as possible. As a result, we developed a strategy based on complementary activities that I will present. So first, we try to act on the vulture supply chain by reducing the killing. We started working from hunters. As I've said, on top of the chain, it's crucial that the change comes from them to have a long-lasting impact. Some of the hunters are traditional hunters, so which means they are organized and respond to a leader. As you can see in the picture, for example, they all have the same outfit, which is the traditional hunter outfit in Niger. We've organized focus groups to try to discuss with them the consequences of these practices and the importance to stop hunting vulture if we wanted to preserve them. We involve their leaders so that the message could be spread and listened to more efficiently. Similarly, we've also worked and engaged local communities living close to vulture population. Because just because they live there, they are generally all involved or at least informed of the activities taking place in their neighborhood. Some, for example, could confirm that Nigerian hunters used to come and hunt vultures. So it was crucial for them to understand the role of vultures, why it was important to preserve them, and then to engage them in their conservation. So, for example, to report suspicious activities. Same, we organized a lot of focus group. We hired local community guards to do the work so that they could more easily interact with those communities. Then we started working with environmental officers as the relevant authorities for this type of illegal activities. Just because they will act more as a repressive force, that's why we involve them only on the later stage. Our main focus was to strengthen their capacities. There was an important lack of capacities and resources within environmental officers, mostly when it comes to vulture. So we try to help them identify vulture species, but also know the legal tools that they could use if they saw any illegal activities on vultures. We developed materials, organized specific missions to build capacities, and mostly we focused on environmental officers at checkpoints, so which means on the roads mostly used for vulture trafficking, and also on officers within the surveillance brigades in main cities, as they was the one who was the most likely to encounter those issues. Okay. Conjointly, to act to break the supply chains, we wanted to reduce the demand. So we started working with strategy practitioners. Similarly than with hunters, we organized focus groups to discuss with them, to make them realize the consequences of their practices, but also to promote plant-based alternatives that could be used instead of vulture pots. Those alternatives were identified by the strategy practitioners themselves, and we just accompanied the process and pushed for a change in their practices. A lot of this work was done by visiting markets and just going and interacting with them. We also conducted individual discussions with different traditional practitioners. And we also involved local people, but this time more as consumers, to try to sensitize them and make them understand that it's crucial to protect vulture and the role they have. And finally, the last actors we worked with were the young generation. We conducted activities within school, mostly primary schools in rural areas, next to vulture population actually, by trying to raise awareness, but also to support the schools in materials mostly, like if they will need books or pens or notebooks for the kids, we provided all of that. And we also organize activities outside of school. So for example, on this picture, you can see kids looking for the first time at a vulture nest with a chick inside. Working with children has several advantages. First, they're a very good vehicle to disseminate a message within their community, but they can also spread this message over years as they become the actors of tomorrow. And finally, by supporting schools, we were supporting the entire community, which were most of the time very happy and by the initiatives, and therefore more likely to act for vulture preservation. So if we want to briefly conclude on this work, we've involved thousands of stakeholders from very different backgrounds. Most stakeholders responded positively and were happy to be part of these activities and to be actively involved to save vultures. We have empowered local stakeholders. It was the key to sustainability behind the project. We initiated the work, but we worked together with them and gave them a voice to pursue the work. We could already notice positive results as we conducted the same market survey in 2019 and in 2022. And if we initially found 36 vulture parts on sale, we only found one in 2022. So this was very positive. If we look at future perspective, it's crucial to pursue the work. Even though we set good bases, it should be reinforced and mostly extended. Thank you. That was a short presentation of our work. I hope you enjoyed it. I wanted to thank the Egyptian Vulture in Your Life project for this opportunity. And I wish good luck all in your future work.
Hello everyone, I am Tareq Qaneer, Head of Birds Project Management Unit at the Royal Society for the Conservation of Nature. Today I will speak with you about our campaigns, Be Our Guest campaign and conservation actions in Jordan through the Egyptian Vulture Project. I will start with the rising awareness of the Egyptian vulture or endangered species Egyptian vulture in Jordan. First campaign in Jordan to spread the awareness of the plight of the Egyptian vulture, a display for the Egyptian vulture conservation at the Queen Alia Airport. The Royal Society, as a BirdLife Jordan, has organized a national awareness campaign that targeted the Egyptian vulture, including display the message, the Egyptian vulture be our guest at the Queen Alia International Airport. Jordan is adopted the slogan, migratory birds be our guest. And this slogan displayed on a big screen at the arrival hall, which shows the airport user a glimpse of the magnificent migratory bird through a busy platform. The Be Our Guest digital board was displayed in early December of 2019 for 2 weeks as a part of Egyptian Vulture New Life project, which is one of the most ambitious ever vulture conservation initiatives, and it's reached about 382,000 people, according to the most recent survey of the number of individuals who use the airport during the exposition. Also, the project team designed and print out Egyptian vulture magnetics and distributed about 650 magnetics and Egyptian vulture brochures for visitors, and also we displayed Egyptian vulture video in RSCN airport nature shop in Queen Alia airport. Also, a big awareness event was organized by the project and RSCN for hunters group, representing the hunters in the southern part of Jordan are participated in our big awareness of releasing the Egyptian vulture. This Egyptian vulture is named by Wisal, and we described for the hunters of the story of the Egyptian vulture and Wisal also, and released together the Egyptian vulture in Dana Biosphere Reserve. Also, all hunters, about 200 hunters, signed a commitment conservation for the Egyptian vulture in the big board and through the event. As a part of the Egyptian vulture and our communication plan, we participated in cycling marathon event from Dead Sea to Red Sea, Aqaba, for 200 kilometers. The Egyptian Vulture project team managed to be at the starting point with the organizers, Amman Road Runners, for the project to distribute the water bottles, bags, brochures at the same time. The Egyptian Vulture pen and flyers was distributed for all participants inside the participants' bags from the main organizer. The team welcomed the participants again in FIFA Nature Reserve and raised awareness about the Egyptian vulture and the importance of taking care of this bird. The total number of participants, around 156 participants participated in the cycling event. Also, RSCN, as a part of our awareness plan in the national level, we organize a big event for kids in the school in the southern part of Jordan near Dana Biosphere Reserve. This campaign, awareness campaign, targeted the kids in the schools. We targeted about 5 schools in Tafila region in the southern part of Jordan to raise awareness about the Egyptian vulture and the migratory soaring bird, and about the importance of vulture for the environment, and to explain for the kids the importance of conservation this magnificent bird, and to be part of the conservation plan in the future. Also, RSCN is targeted all stakeholders that participate with RSCN in the conservation activities to strengthen the capacity building of our stakeholders, including environment police and Judicial Institute and customs, also that participated CITES instructions. So we targeted them with specific training capacity building program to strengthen the capacity about the conservation of migratory soaring bird, and in specific the Egyptian vulture through the project. Also, RSCN participated in celebration of the World Migratory Bird Day and International Vulture Awareness Day in 2020 through the awareness campaign through the social media channel of RSCN. We published posts about the importance of Egyptian vulture or vultures in general, Egyptian vultures and migratory soaring bird, and the importance of conservation migratory soaring bird. Also, we participated in the World Migratory Bird Day in 2021 through the big event organized in Dana Biosphere Reserve in Finan area, and we released together with all participants endangered species or endangered migratory soaring bird, and we explained the importance of migratory sonic birds, vultures, in specific for the environment and for nature, and the importance of conservation the migratory sonic birds. RSCN also designed an educational exhibit about the Egyptian vulture for the National Museum. This is National Museum will be at the headquarter building of RSCN, and we finished the designing of the first stage of the Egyptian vulture exhibit to be a part of the National Museum. This exhibit will be about the importance of Jordan migratory birds and the threats to raise targeted awareness at the national level for governments, energy industry, consultancy houses, and schools and yeah. For the conservation actions through the projects, RSCN and through the Egyptian Vulture New Life projects has implemented many actions to reduce the mortality from energy infrastructure, especially power lines. And we started to define the location of most dangerous pylons of low and mid voltage power lines, and we produced the report about the status of the electrocution in Jordan. We defined two areas that need urgent actions for insulation and to prevent the bird electrocution. One of them in the north of part of Jordan near Al Qadir area or Al Qadir dump area, and second one in the southern part of Jordan to insulate the line from medium power line from Ma'an to Al Jafar area. We started with the national policies, and we organized under the patronage of the Ministry of Environment. We organized a national dialogue session on the environmental policies in the energy sector and the installation of electrical network, and we produced a national guideline for electrocution. Also, we signed an MOU. We signed MOUs with all electricity companies aimed to insulate most of hazardous power lines in Jordan with the Irbid Electricity Company, the National Electricity Company, and Jordan Electricity Distribution Company to cover the whole part of Jordan and to insulate the identified hazardous pylons in Jordan. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Vanya Ratarova and I am part of the Bulgarian Society for the Protection of Birds. Today I would like to present you briefly the BSPB Nature Conservation Centers. The Bulgarian Society for the Protection of Birds owns and operates one of the few nature conservation and information centers in Bulgaria. The first one, Poda, which is located at the Black Sea coast near to the city of Burgas. And the second one is Majarovo in the Eastern Rhodops Mountains, close to the border with Greece and Turkey. Both centers were created and have been operating since the 1990s with the purpose of raising awareness for nature conservation and sustainable development of the local communities. Both centers are operated by the commercial company that the BSPB owns, and that is called BSPB Ltd. This is a brief information about the landscapes where the two centers are located. The Eastern Rhodope Mountains are the region with the highest biodiversity in Bulgaria. This is really the land of vultures, wolves, and orchids, and not surprisingly, one of the most important and long-term conservation efforts of BSPB take place exactly at this region. For example, our efforts to protect the Egyptian vultures. This is the Nature Conservation Center. What we offer here is, of course, observation of vultures and other very interesting bird species. We have a very beautiful exhibition hall where you can learn about the rich biodiversity of the Eastern Rhodops and about its most famous inhabitants, the vultures. You can walk around the center and visit very interesting protected areas here. BSPB owns not only the building, but also 21 hectares of forests around the center. We maintain a hotel, a small restaurant, and also a shop where you can buy souvenirs from the center. This is the landscape of the Poda. Poda protected area is among the few places in Europe where 315 species of birds have been recorded on an area of no more than 1 square kilometer. This is around 1/4 of the bird diversity of Europe. The center here, again, we offer more or less the similar services and products, bird watching from the terrace of the center, bird watching and photographing birds from the specialized heights that we maintain in the protected area, walk on the visitors trail in the protected area, visit again of the exhibition hall, and a small shop where you can buy souvenirs from the protected area. The business model behind the two centers is more or less the same. It is based on close contact to nature. We believe that people need to go back to their roots, and this is exactly what our two nature conservation centers can offer them. At the centers, we offer close to nature accommodation, healthy food, and hospitality. We offer there also products and services with a cause, with a message, with a purpose. When you buy them, you support our nature conservation efforts. Our aim for the future of the centers is really to make them resilient, to use their natural and social capital to be able to generate funding not only to maintain the centers, but also to be able to reinvest part of this generated funding into our core conservation activities. In order to do that, we will be facing challenges in the future. One of the most important of them is really to be able to diversify the incomes of the centers, and we will be doing this by both diversifying the services that we offer there, but also the products that we offer at these centers. We would like also to work to strengthen the conservation and the education role of the centers too. And in particular for Majarovo, it will be also very important through the center to support the local economy and the development of the ecotourism in the region. So I hope that this information about our centers was interesting to you, and I hope to be able to welcome you at these centers. So thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Elitsa Ivanova and I'm part of the Bulgarian Society for the Protection of Birds team as a flyway communications officer. Today I'm going to share with you a story about one of our communication campaigns implemented under the Egyptian Vulture New Life project called Amal for the Egyptian Vulture. From human perspective, as well as this is relevant for other animal species as well, in order to get our chances to survive, the primary and most important thing is to keep moving. We're not sure what thoughts precisely are holding our minds when we are facing difficulties, but one thing is for sure, moving forward is pulling us out, the action. But let's put this moving metaphor aside for a bit and think about something else. What does it mean for a migratory bird not to give up? Because it doesn't matter how many kilometers it may fly, what obstacles it may face, tired or not. The most important thing for this bird is to arrive at its destination no matter what. And when I say this, it's comparable from a human perspective to an athlete that wants to run a real marathon. Because as you know, the Egyptian vulture is relatively small bird, so the efforts that this bird must put in order to migrate are enormous. So, following the example of one of the nature's finest athletes, the Egyptian vulture, all partners and citizens supporting the Egyptian Vulture New Life project have decided to run as many miles as possible for one cause: keep the species safe under the campaign A Mile for the Egyptian Vulture. Events were organized both nationally and locally along the East African Eurasian flyway, reaching millions of people because regardless of the scale, every kilometers we walk or run is essential and symbolic. But the start is really important. It was given in Greece in 2018. You can see these amazing people, colleague of ours from WWF Greece, Elzbieta Kret, her husband and children that are part of the educational program of WWF Greece in Dadia. They did the first mile for the Egyptian vulture. They started everything. Inspired by them, all the Balkan partner countries continue organizing different events. You can see Bulgaria, Albania, Republic of North Macedonia, Greece. Several events were organized nationally, local. The idea was to be in as many possible events as we can, raising awareness for the Egyptian vulture and get the public attention, because this target group is really different from our usual people, usual audience that we can reach easily. We continue in the Middle East, where different events were organized again, connected with the Mile for the Egyptian Vulture. It was cycling events done by RSCN there and the BirdLife Middle East, going along the flyway, and getting even more inspired, seeing so many people running, cycling for the Egyptian vulture inspired us to try to put the campaign on a different scale, different level. That's why we decided to participate in the Great Ethiopian Run. As you know, this is the most colorful and fantastic running event in the world. That's why, and Ethiopia, it's really important country for the Balkan population of the Egyptian vulture. That's why we decided not only to participate, but to be a message sponsor there. Thanks to the efforts of BirdLife Africa and Ethiopia Wildlife and Nature History Society, we were able to participate there using the slogan for the bird safe energy infrastructure. Thousands of people, 12,000 actually, runners run with a t-shirt with the slogan. Many events were organized after this huge, really big event. We continue our miles step by step, kilometer by kilometer, and our last mile will be done on the Istanbul Marathon, where our partners there, Doğa Derneği, will raise awareness for the Egyptian vulture during the event. Even though this event will be the last under the campaign A Mile for the Egyptian Vulture and under the project Egyptian Vulture New Life, I believe that everyone involved in the conservation of the Egyptian vulture will continue doing its best, doing their mile for the conservation of this magnificent bird. Thank you for your attention.
Hi, thank you guys for listening, and thank you to all our speakers who I'd love to welcome on stage for the Q&A. There we go. Wonderful to see you all. Thank you so much. So I wanted to start actually with environmental education, and Evgenia, if you could share with us sort of what you felt worked the best in terms of approaches to environmental education, and why?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the question. I can highlight two things. Mainly the thing that we had always someone from the project team that could support the schools. So we had an online communication, ongoing communication with them. So during their, let's say, activities or curriculum activities, they knew that they had support from the project environmental education team. And the second part I could highlight is that we tried to engage them in creating their own projects. So at the end of each school year, the education community, students and teachers were actually thrilled in creating their own projects. Either that was a theater, either that was an artistic activity, mainly those two aspects.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And sort of moving to Kalliopi and this idea of, you know, ethno-ornithology and cultural values around Egyptian vultures. What do you feel like is the best vehicle to take those positive values and you know, forward? And how do you feel about whether those positive values around Egyptian vultures and the mythology are able to kind of promote that behavior change towards making, you know, conservation efforts more fruitful?
Thank you very much for the question. I have also the questions of Volen, so I will answer all of this together. First of all, we use the characteristic of the Egyptian vulture, the white color that is it seems very important for the people, the smaller size and the migratory nature. This is very important because the Egyptian vulture is a symbol of the end of a difficult era, that is winter for Europe and the Balkans especially, and it is the dry season in Africa. So people like that the Egyptian vulture is a migratory species, like the swallows and storks that we like a lot in Europe. What we have done is that in Greece we use a lot the local names, because the word vulture is related with griffon vultures and with death and with a negative symbolism, especially recently with all this image in the mass media. So we use the local names, and we have this wonderful name, the cuckoo's horse, and we have also the other name that is the cheesemaker. So people feel a little much more comfortable with these names, and I think this is a good idea to use the local names, and also to try to connect vultures with positive stories, and not with the vultures, the Egyptian, because everybody likes it in Greece, but with the griffons. In some releases we used in a city that has a big connection to the Greek Revolution, we gave the names of local heroes. And with the connections that griffons should be heroes and vultures should be heroes to survive in this world that is full of threats, and to save the nature, and to be a symbol of conservation. So I think this is the key to connect the bird with positive stories and symbols.
Thank you so much, Kalliopi. I'm cognizant that we're eating a little bit into people's lunch times. So, but we do have important questions to ask all of you. So we're probably just going to extend by another few minutes. And sort of moving on to Kristi, really quickly, what kind of feedback, you know, you said you had these innovative campaigns. What kind of feedback have you received from those campaigns beyond the number of people that you reached? Have you got some interesting feedback from those people specifically?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Live now.
We have a very good feedback in our work in Albania, because now the Egyptian vulture is a very no birds in our country, and is the only nesting vulture in Albania. And now in Albania, people talk about these fantastic birds, and the institution are taking activities about awareness for this bird, and to protect this bird in especially in the territory of Egyptian vulture. Is Agency for Protected Area in Albania now is joined with AOS and PPNEA to work together for the protect this only nesting vulture in Albania. Thank you.
Wow, that's impressive. Thank you so much, Kristi, for that. And sort of, Violetta, I wonder if you could share a little bit about, who did you find, you worked with so many different actors across different intervention points. Was there one or a subset that you found most influential, and what was that about them that made them most influential in sort of changing behavior or changing their own behavior?
Thank you. I'm representing for Cloé, who is on the field today. So yes, we work on many different, with many actors. I think it's very crucial, was crucial to work with the practical, the medical, traditional medicine healers, and the hunters that are associated with them. Those were the key groups, because the threats that are linked to the species in the country, to the vultures. So that was just to engage with the chief of the communities is very important. So that's what we have seen, that you need to understand how it works in the country, what it works in the culture, and that was especially engaging. Of course, as we have seen, working with schools and new is very rewarding, and I guess very rewarding for us, because we see it's very, but in terms of what we can see more direct impact, shorter term, maybe is working with the hunters and the traditional healers community.
Thanks, Violetta. Thanks for representing for Cloé. Tareq, I don't see you anymore. Are you still with us? Okay, maybe not. In that case, Vanya, maybe I can ask you about these amazing and BSPB conservation centers. How do you feel that has changed the business environment in the area?
It has really, especially the Vulture Center in Majarovo, it has changed significantly the local economy and the way local people, their attitude to the vultures, because thanks to the center and the services that we offer there, we were able really to make Majarovo one of the most famous tourist destinations for bird watching in Bulgaria. And at the beginning, there were no places for accommodation there, for example, or no restaurants. But meanwhile, due to the increased number of tourists, really the local economy has developed. And this was also thanks to our efforts. And this has contributed also a lot for the people to see that nature and preserving endangered species is very important. And this is not in contradiction with developing the local economy. Just the opposite. This really can such marginalized places. So the effect was really very positive from our work, and that's why we continue it with such enthusiasm.
Yeah, I can imagine that's very fulfilling on many levels. Elitsa, sort of, you talked about this idea of, the Egyptian vulture needs to get to this place and it can't give up. How do you feel that idea has resonated with all of these events that you've held in various cities around the world? And what has that really captured the imagination of people in the way that you expected?
Thank you for your questions, Alicia. I think yes, shortly, because when we compare the efforts, a runner, an athlete knows what this means for his body and his mind to do a marathon, for example, as we use it as an example. So it was, I think it is successful comparison between the efforts of the birds and the people, as well as when we visualize the bird with our mascot. It helps a lot because they can somehow see and understand how strong this bird should be and what efforts are needed to do this journey.
Yeah, that's an amazing, it is amazing when you resonate and you have that, I guess, anthropomorphication of, yeah. So just in the interest of time, Tareq, there was one question for you in terms of how many children were involved in the environment awareness school visits that you conducted. And then as you answer that question, I want to put one question to the entire group. And there was a comment from Mohammed on the chat saying that, that everything needs to be sort of adapted to the local context, because you could do something and then you end up with an unintended consequence of people, robbing nests. So just really quickly, how do you feel about, that kind of concept? So Tareq, if you could answer the question about the schools, and then everyone, just really quickly, what do you feel about localization of communications?
Yes, thank you very much. For the schools, we included the campaign or the awareness program for Egyptian vulture through the outreach program implemented by RSCN and through Dana Biosphere Reserve. So this is outreach program targeted all schools around the Biosphere Reserve. So this is targeted more than 600 students in 5 schools around the Dana Biosphere Reserve along the year. So this is not just for the short time. This is included within the outreach program.
Wonderful. And if just one by one, you could just say what you feel really quickly about local approaches versus, something that's more global. Starting with you, Elitsa, let's go.
It's an interesting question. And I don't know, I think we should continue to think globally, act on a local level step by step. And these approaches that we currently use, I think we are on the right track.
Thanks. Evgenia, your feelings on the matter?
Yes, this is an old issue actually on all awareness events, in which information you decide actually to share with the public. So yes, we have to be very careful in the type of information we decide to share with the public. So this is the first step. The second step is that I couldn't agree more with the aspects of environmental education, that all issues should be adjusted in a local level. Of course, we think globally, but we finally ask local communities to intervene, local communities to, let's say, be part of our conservation efforts. So we should actually always, let's say, localize all our main, let's say, messages.
Wonderful. And maybe if we could have either someone who really wants to speak up on this issue, as I kind of need to close the session now. Anyone else with a very strong opinion either way on this? Yeah, Kalliopi, go ahead. You have the last word.
Okay, the last word is that localization is the key. So locally adapted campaigns in participation with the participation of the local communities that can inspire other communities in an international level. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much for your time and your inspiration. And that's it for us for now. And I believe we have a break now for lunch and then come back for the next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.